Hey everybody, this is herculespetix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies. Today we're going to be looking at Spicecapades, an anthology comic from 1999 celebrating the Spice Girls. Yes, Fantagraphics put out this comic, and it's hard to believe this is real, but there's a lot of good stuff in here, some not so good stuff. But starting off with this Peter Bagge cover. This cover almost looks like a well-composed George Perez Avengers cover. Just the way all their positions are. This would be a great superhero comic cover. And this is after Ginger left. So it's kind of a shame that it's not in their heyday. But the editor, Queen Itchy, got all these fanzine writers and cartoonists to celebrate the Spice Girls. Queen Itchy I'm not too familiar with. I believe she was in a band. Something in her editorial talks about playing music, and I think she made fanzines. I don't know. But here we got the contents page. Here's her introduction. And basically she's just stating that Spice Girls are fun. They're almost like an extension of the Riot Girl movement. Of course, the Spice Girls used to love to talk about girl power. But this is nice. An R. Crumb illustration of Queen Itchy, who I guess her real name is Jenny Nixon. And this is beautiful R. Crumb drawing. I mean, that's all he does, really. Beautiful illustrations, but God, that's nice. Here's an article by Ariel Greenberg. I think she's a fanzine person. Why I'm Gaga over Baby Spice. Very odd article about how almost like she's given a thumbs up to sexual infantilization. Is that a word? Infantilization. And almost saying like, yeah, it's nothing sexier than a little girl. That's why, there's the Catholic schoolgirl thing. Very odd. I guess if it was written by a man, there'd be hell to pay. A little illustration from cartoonist Ariel Bordeaux. And then we have a Gilbert Hernandez comic. And it's just the Spice Girls singing one of their songs. Kind of like a very lesser Gilbert Hernandez comic. He didn't really put his all in this. Basically, the thing is that they can't even remember the words to their song without Ginger there. Ginger was apparently the leader, the unofficial leader. Here's an appreciation of Sporty Spice Now by Peter Landau. And a little illustration from Fantagraphics Poobah, Grand Poobah Eric Reynolds. Well, I guess Garrett Grott's the Grand Poobah. He's a minor Poobah. Rejected Spice Girls from Kaz, the great cartoonist. Bodacious Spice, Slovenly Spice, White Power Spice, and Pregnant Spice. It's pretty funny. And now we have Posh Spice gets her appreciation. This is Monkey Spice and Mashed Potatoes by Michael McPadden. Nice illustration from Tony Millionaire. I guess I don't get this at all, but supposedly Posh Spice looks like a monkey to some people. And I don't know. I wasn't really into the Spice Girls. I kind of liked that they existed, though, in pop music. I wasn't really listening to the radio, but I think their songs are fun. And I saw Spice World, and Spice World's a really fun movie. I think I still have it on VHS somewhere. But even if you're not a Spice Girl fan, if you want like a dopey good time, watch Spice World. Very fun movie. Here we have a illustration by Sean Belschwinder. And this is all quotes from Ginger Spice by Queen Itchy, compiled by Queen Itchy. And she was the most outspoken member of the group. Here we have a fun Peter Bagge comic. And I guess Eric Reynolds inked this. And it's a true story about Peter Bagge took his nieces to see a Spice Girls concert. And of course the girls are just wigging out. They even got a limo. I guess Peter Bagge's siblings, the parents of these nieces, are pretty well off. More than Peter Bagge. I don't think he'd be renting a limousine. And it's just typical Peter Bagge, you know, fun humor. It's pretty fun. Showing all the weirdos at the concert. God, this like grown man dressed as Baby Spice, this fat slob. It's so gross. And he said that there's a lot of guys in the audience, like adult men, were into the Spice Girls, kind of perving on them. Also, a lot of gay men. They had a sizable gay fandom. And the concert blows them all away. They all love it. And they go home. Come back, Jerry. Sob. Now, Scary Spice gets her moment in the spotlight, Deconstructing Scary by Chris Lee. And this one's a little more negative. Apparently, once Jerry Halliwell, Ginger, left, she kind of became the unofficial leader. And apparently, she was a tyrant. She ruled with an iron hand. I mean, this is all gossip from like National Enquirer. I don't know if any of it's true. We have an illustration here by Raph Hall. Kind of a nice homage to Forrest Ackerman's old magazine. Here we have a Smell of Steve Incorporated comic called Chicks is Successful. And this is Smell of Steve would do this. Just have these comics with this incredibly broken English. I want please tell you, these are chicks successful. Money, money, money. Chicks successful money. Yours. Pretty odd. I don't know, I kind of always fall for this shtick, the broken English thing. Here's Spice Devolution by Marianne Burt. I think she's another fanzine writer. With an illustration by a young Michael Kupperman, back when he was known as P. Revis. At the time, he just had a comic strip in the Seattle Stranger. That's how long ago this was. The world didn't really know about his greatness. Here's a weird little comic. Art by Jim Cruson from an idea by Amy Kellner. I don't know either of those people. But this totally looks like Mort Drucker or something. Like a cut rate bargain basement Mort Drucker. And this is one of the weirdest strip. I almost want to read more of this couple here because it's just so bizarre. So it's like mixing the facts of life with the Spice Girls. And then Mrs. Garrett reveals that the lower half of her body is that of a reptile and she has this giant snake body. It's just nuts. It's really odd. Here we have Sam Henderson, America's Funny Man. And this is just two guys watching the Spice Girls on video. And I gotta say, this is one of the worst Sam Henderson gags I've ever read. I don't even get it, to be honest. It's pretty dumb. Well, okay, I get it, but it's just not so great. Speaking of Mort Drucker, look at Rick Altergott here, illustrating an article about The Spice Boys by Richard Byrne. The Sweat of the Spice Boys. And nice little, and I don't know who the Spice Boys were. I don't know if I think it was actually they formed a band. But there's some relationship to soccer, and then they start talking about the whole David Beckham thing with Posh Spice. I guess they were the biggest tabloid story in England at the time. Because he was a championship soccer player, and she was, in the Spice Girls. Here we have a comic by Robert Kirby, Spicer for Hire. And this is pretty dumb. It's not very good. I don't know who this guy is. I know this sounds weird, but I think he's British. I'm probably wrong, but I don't know. I almost feel like I can tell a British artist now, a cartoonist. And this just seems like he would have been in Escape magazine back in the day. And, I don't know, hung out with Paul Gravett. I'm totally probably wrong about that. And we got a one-page strip from Ivan Brunetti back when he was funny. And, well, actually, back when he drew comics. It's called Wanna Fuck. Just look at that great logo and just his amazing lettering. I just forget what a great cartoonist he was all around. And it's just the old Ivan Brunetti, you know, the repulsive, self-hating, suicidal creep watching the Spice Girls and just talking about how he wants to fuck them, you know. And his wife at the time is just disgusted with him. And I guess they ended up getting divorced shortly after this. I miss you, Ivan. Okay, guys, get ready for this. This is fucking beautiful. This is worth the price of admission. Danny Hellman, Dirty Danny Hellman. And, oh man, this is just so cool. I guess at the time you could send a stamp and get a nice postcard of this. Even though I want a huge poster of this. So this is kind of a poster, I could rip it out. But this is fun as hell. These Nazi scientists who are trying to synthesize girl power for evil intent. And this Spice Girls are rescuing Ginger and Baby. Oh, that's beautiful. Really nice colors, too. This is pretty dumb. This is so of its time. Spice Tubbies, because the Teletubbies were big and the Spice Girls were big. This is by Cliff Mott, who comes from Cracked Magazine. He was like the art director. But this next thing he draws as well, and here you can really see the Cracked Magazine. This is so cracked looking. This could have been maybe written for Cracked, and then they pulled it. It's written and inked by Mort Todd. Mort Todd's done tons of great shit in comics. Editor, cartoonist, and also was art director and editor at Cracked. So these two Cracked cohorts make this, it totally reads just like a Cracked story. How about the Spice Girls getting invited to this little island with the promise of $1 million, so they get back together. Ginger's there. And of course, there's like an Igor type guy, a mad scientist. Turns out that he's been taking old rock stars and turning them into monsters, and he wants to do that to the Spice Girls. And then all of a sudden, the Spice Girls say, "Too late, you sodder. We're already monsters. We're the Spice Ghouls." And they start ripping them apart. For some reason, this cracks me up how posh is biting Igor's hump. Or that sporty. He's just saying, "Oh, my aching hump." This is really dumb. I mean, if you guys ever read Cracked when you were kids, you know, Mad was dumb a lot of the times, and Cracked was even dumber. But I kind of like this art. You can see like John Severin, just lots of just old-timey cartoonists in here. This one is kind of not that great. 10 Steps to Girl Power. So all this is I guess there's some book, Spice Girls Giving You Everything by Rebecca Alpin. It was probably one of those books, a total cash grab, you know, just when the Spice Girls were popular. I guess Peter Bagge adapted it, pulled the quotes, and M. Wartella did the art. And Wartella, I think, used to do stuff for Mad. I've seen him since I feel like I've seen this guy since I was a kid. And I do kind of like his style. It's very, you know, his own. But this is just, I mean, these are just boring things from the book. Talking about girl power and giving girls advice about wear whatever fashion you want. I mean, the illustrations are definitely kind of funny, but it's just overall not that great. Though I do like his cartooning a lot. I wish it was just put to better use. Okay, let's see what we got next. This is the Spice Girls, but with periods, and because they're agents. They're secret agents. And this is by David and Kevin Scalzo. And I assume David writes it, because I don't think he's a cartoonist, and Kevin Scalzo maybe co-writes it and draws it. And I guess the Spice Girls are like these secret agents. Their handler calls them up and basically says, you have to go back in time and bring Princess Diana back to the present. Or some stupid thing like that. It's Princess Diana, very unflattering. And then they're going to bring her to the present, and then I guess they screw up the time machine and it makes a hole through the earth. I don't know. Pretty dumb strip. Though Kevin Scazzo's cartooning is very unique and kind of fun and crazy and ugly. God, just look at these Spice Girls. They're horrendous. This is very silly. This is like something from Mad. If I Were a Spice Man. And words by Jeff Coyen, art by Gary Lieb. And I like Gary Lieb. And this is some nice stuff, the border art. But it's a parody of the song If I Was a Rich Man. And it's about if you were, this guy's saying if he was a spice man, he'd basically get laid a lot. He'd be a stud. Pretty dumb. This is a contribution from Mike Diana. And of course he lowers the tenor of this comic. And it's an advertisement for Spice Nipple cereal. So gross. It's just this cereal that's the nipples of the Spice Girls. It is weird though. Doesn't really look like Mike Diana to me. It looks like he's actually trying to like draw more representational, even though it's obviously pretty cartoony. But I don't know. There's something about this I like. It's so creepy and disgusting. Very underground comic-y. Yeah. The Old Spice Girls by Doug Allen. And we see this old salt down at the docks. And he's telling some old story. And it's almost like this pair, because it takes place in the past, like 1912. And it's almost like he's describing these 1912 versions of the Spice Girls and how he had sex with all of them. And but then these two suits come, kind of like FBI type guys. They tie him up and they basically say that you can't use the Spice Girls name in your drunken ramblings. And they say, don't even say the word spice again. It's pretty dumb. But I really like Doug Allen's cartooning. Another guy you can tell a mile off. Nobody draws like him. This is pretty terrible. The Quest for Scary, Mark Poutance. Just about some guy looking for Spice Girls dolls. And he can't find them, and he finally does. It's pretty, you can tell by the art. This is just, it looks like the worst kind of internet art. Like he would have a web comic that's basically like at the level of Zits as far as content. Mama Had Girl Power by Ed Gein and Mike Gorman. Maybe the weirdest contribution to this, where he very loosely takes the theme of writing about the Spice Girls. And it's Ed Gein, the inspiration for Norman Bates, obviously. He had a mother fixation. And it's just Ed Gein going through his day, talking about his mother. She had girl power. She was the smartest, strongest woman he ever knew. And we see Ed Gein doing all this sick stuff. And then he makes another skin suit. And it's like the scary Spice. He even does his hair like her. And then Norman Bates knocks on the door. And he comes over. And they're both like, but I'm supposed to be Scary Spice. They're both dressed up as Scary Spice, and they're pissed off at each other. Very odd strip. I don't know about this Mike Gorman fellow, to be honest. I wonder if this is actually taken from his writings, Ed Gein. Because it says by Ed Gein. I kind of doubt it, though. Another Sam Henderson strip. And, not his best, once again. This is nice seeing Wayno do these caricatures. Supposedly this is a coloring page, like in a coloring book. And these are kind of just, these look like they would be in like Sassy magazine or something. But it's just pretty skillful. I've never seen Wayno draw like this. He's got chops. I kind of like the big head style there. And this is by Wannabe. I'm sorry, this is Wannabe by Jake Austin, the editor of Rocktober fanzine. Amazing fanzine. Jake Austin loved comic books too. He'd review comics in his fanzine and also include a few pages every issue. And he was never very good. His writing was pretty good, but he obviously never really learned how to draw. And this one's kind of funny little strip. These three kids who idolize the Spice Girls. They all take their money down to the mall. One gets a new CD, one gets a poster, and one gets a new dress and tries to be like a Spice Girl. I thought that was kind of cute. Next, we have a pinup from Glenn Head, former editor of one of my favorite anthologies of all time, Snake Eyes, and cartoonist, obviously, in his own right. And pretty nice Glenn Head stuff. Spice Girls Fever Dream, it's called. And we have the contributors here. And that's it for Spicecapades. Kind of a goofy little magazine. It's, half of it is almost like fanzine articles. But I just have to keep it almost as a memento of the late 90s, which to me is this wonderful golden age. And also as, obviously this cover and that center spread and some of the other pieces in here. But, yeah, I just think it's fun. And I wish there was more comics, even if they were bad. I just think this is what happens when someone who's not in comics edits a comic magazine. And that's why some of those crappy comics were in there. I think they were just fanzine people that she knew through the scene. And but I'm glad that she got people like Kaz and Peter Bagge and all that stuff. So hope you guys like looking at this. Kind of a weird choice to make a video about, but it's in the Institute's library forever. I'm definitely not getting rid of it. And hope you liked it, and I hope to see you next time here at the Herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies.